Welcome to Parlay TV.
Plenty of things look easy at first. Skydiving, lion taming, from the comfort of your armchair, all sorts of risks look easy as
Cristiano Ronaldo, Diogo Jota, and Bruno Fernandes literally
blew Russia off the park in a clinical display of attacking football.
Wow.
Sorry, what did you say, Kobe?
Wow, bro.
Let's break it down.
I am Pat Mayo, and I'm here to give you the best pick at the top of the board, the best bet, if you will.
So I'm going to go with just under 25 for Middleton here.
Welcome back, everybody, to 3 in the Key here on the Parlay. I'm your host, Luca, alongside my co-host, Nor. And in today's show, we're going to talk about all things Raptors. And right now, it is crazy what is happening, not only to the Raptors, but to the NBA with COVID and health and safety protocols. Nor, how are you feeling right now with the uncertainty of everything, of the Raptors not even knowing who's going to dress up for them in the lineup tonight?
I think it was crazy. I'm not sure if anyone else was online the other day, but it honestly felt like it was Kawhi's free agency again. You saw chopper highlights. Everyone was following planes on the Raptors were on. Woj was tweeting out how many players had boarded the plane, how many players were leaving from the plane, when the plane had boarded, when it was taking off. It was all over the place. And right now we have about 5 of the actual Raptors players heading to Chicago currently, and we signed 5 others on a contract because we noticed that we were going to need players. Obviously, we don't have enough to have a lineup at all. And against the Bulls tonight, I think we're gonna see a G League roster, right? It's obviously not just us, like you said, it has been the entire NBA. This is something that they've been dealing with for a while, and the Raptors' turn happened, but we saw the same thing happen to the Brooklyn Nets, who just had 7 players when they were playing the Bucks. We saw the same thing happen to the Nuggets. The same thing happened to the Lakers. And now it's the Raptors' turn. But then we also learned from Adam Silver that he's not changing anything. Nothing is changing. It's only going to continue. This is something that they are now realizing that they might just have to live with and kind of persevere through as the seasons go. So I don't know. At the end of it all, I feel like we're all watching this happen at the same time. We're all getting our own ideas and opinions from it. In my opinion, though, I'm just like, how can you really realistically, examine a season when so much of this is going to be contingent on if your team is healthy or not?
Yeah, it's a debacle right now. So as of right now, per Josh Lewinberg, the Raptors lineups look like this. They got Anunoby, Boucher, Watanabe, Mahai, Luke Bonga. And then the replacement players, Goodwin, Morgan, Stauskas, Waters, and Wilson. Guys who were probably on the couch, a couple of days ago, let's be real. So this is very impactful on the Toronto Raptors because you look at now what they have to deal with. They're going to be taking on a really good Bulls team, and then they're going to be taking on the Cavaliers. And all of a sudden, this team was starting to gain some momentum, ready to get back potentially to that 500 mark and make a run at a playoff spot, and this hits them. So now this is going to have a negative effect where their main starters could miss up to 10 days. So we saw how big of an issue health and safety was to this Raptors team a season ago. I believe there was something like 4th in the standings before they did go through an outbreak. And then from that point on, they just went downhill. So I hope that's not the case here, but this is just frustrating if you're a Raptors fan, because you look at some of the other teams who got their games postponed. The Bulls last week, this game was supposed to happen last week, but it got pushed to this week so the Bulls could get healthier. And then even on Monday, the Raptors never played the Magic because the Magic were going through a ton of stuff. So the consistency wasn't there. And the fact that the Raptors are forced to play in this game and there's no postponement, bit of a head scratcher. I think Raptors fans would have liked this game to be postponed, to be moved, and the Raptors to have some time off so they could get guys back, because right now, yeah, you said it. We got half a team and you're relying on the replacement players to come through it and play hero ball.
Absolutely. And we were maybe one win away from being above 500, maybe making the 8th seed, and just coincidentally, Adam Silver is like, no, everybody else gets the boot. Everybody else gets to relax. But the Raptors, no, they still have to charge the plane. They still have to get their players over there. And yeah, it's a matter of how are they going to look like with their next matchups coming up. We have, like you said, we have the Cavaliers coming up on the 26th. We're also playing the Sixers and then the Clippers. I mean, the Knicks are the Knicks, but you're still playing against teams that are more healthier than you are. So based off your expertise right now, Luca, how do you see tonight going against the Bulls? Just and with the Bulls currently, they are not going to be playing Levine or Caruso, but they do have our favorite DeMar DeRozan, who's been on fire, just completely being the MJ of the Bulls that they need them to be. So how do you see that game going tonight?
I think it's going to be rough. I think despite missing those guys that you just mentioned, they do have DeMar DeRozan, who has been the king of the fourth quarter. He is second in the NBA in fourth quarter points this season. I think the Bulls are still good enough that they should win this game. The spread is 10.5, so it is a big number. Vegas thinks it's going to be all Bulls tonight. I mean, the Raptors' chances of a win are going to rely on OG playing Michael Jordan basketball. We need to see OG go off for 30-plus points if the Raptors want to have a chance. I think it's going to be a tough game. I mean, I can see the Raptors making things interesting in the first half, but then I can see the Bulls pulling away in the second half. And, I mean, I don't fault the Raptors if they don't look good at all in this game. You're relying on guys who have no Raptor experience and very little NBA experience to come through as your bench and even your starters. Anunoby is the only consistent guy you can count on. Boucher, he's been very inconsistent. I mean, Watanabe is going to bring the energy, especially on defense. We know that. Luke hasn't been able to hit a shot, it seems, all season. And Bonga, we've hardly seen. So we don't know how this team is going to look. I'm very interested to see what the effort level is going to be on this team. But all I know is it's probably going to be a long night, and Chicago Bulls fans are going to enjoy seeing the Raptors get their butts kicked. But who knows? Maybe there's an upset in store. Maybe OG does go off for 30 plus, maybe even 50 points, and the Raptors somehow pull off the upset. So if you're feeling a little bit lucky tonight, take the points, but I wouldn't advise it.
Honestly, I'm in the same boat. I do want to say, like I mentioned it before too, we are a team that thrives under adversaries. We do kind of we play our best basketball when we are like, okay, our backs are against the wall. But this is like different circumstances. You have 5 players who have never worn a Raptors jersey before. They haven't played with this team. They haven't had one practice. I'm going to this game thinking, I don't even know if I want to, I want to watch, but I don't know if I want to watch my Raptors get blowed out like that, from Chicago, because Bulls are Bulls. They've been on fire this entire season. I've still been hesitant to call them top 3 in the East because, like we already mentioned, there's been so much happening in the league that you can't really conveniently or really factor in to see who's going to be the number 1. But the Bulls have really asserted themselves in those conversations. So even without Levine, even without Caruso, they still have that roster that understands how to win, at least up until December now. So against a team that is going to be, YMCA players, I don't think so. They're going to put their entire bench, their entire roster covering OG. It's going to be 5 guys on OG, and you're going to have, Nick Nurse taking a shot from the 3. So I just don't think it's going to be it's going to be good. And I also don't think, I'm not sure when they're going to have the players come back, but I don't think it would be until at least next week. So if you're playing Cavaliers this weekend as well, that's also a really good team in the East now.
Yeah.
I don't know if we win against that either.
Yeah, I mean, with the exception of OG, let's call it for what it is. This is the Raptors 905 playing in these next couple of games, and that is going to be the interesting point. How long will the regular starters miss? So they could miss up to 10 days. Will it be shorter than that? Will it be that? We'll find out, and the Raptors do have a couple of games scheduled between now and that 10-day point. So, yeah, I think this is just going to come down to survival for the Raptors. Just, try to remain competitive in these games, try to have a chance to win, try to bring it into the fourth quarter, not down by double digits or even 20 and more than that. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. But the Raptors, I mean, they were one of the luckiest teams, it seemed, this season, one of the few teams that hadn't dealt with health and safety protocols. And then it just hit them out of nowhere, just like it has every other team. And then it almost makes you think, should they have played that game against the Nets a week ago? Remember, the Nets had a bunch of players out, and people were saying, how are even the Nets able to play in this game? Maybe the Raptors caught something there. Maybe that was the whole start of the whole outbreak. Who knows? But it's going to be interesting to see how the NBA handles this, because even going into the Christmas Day games, Adam Silver says, don't expect a shutdown. Don't expect anything like that. The NBA has shown if they got to roll out replacement players to finish up these games, they will. So we'll see how that affects Christmas, and the Raptors included.
Yeah, and you know what? I think the one silver lining I can get out of this is that I'm happy for these players. The ones that don't get the chance to play on an NBA level, they finally get to tie up their laces, get to play in front of a TV for their families. That's something that I'm happy for them because they get to really work on their craft and put themselves on display for other teams to see. But besides that, like it's a season now where you're just kind of like, how can you really realistically break down each team and talk about who's better than the other, because half the teams are decimated with injuries and COVID. And not that you mentioned Brooklyn as well, it kind of makes you wonder, like, this virus might be kind of serious. Like if it's flowing that fast and if it's that contagious, it must be airborne. And we saw Pascal and Delano be the first ones to go down. Shortly after, it was Scotty and Delano, and then Malachi and Fred, and it was just one after the other within the same day. So Adam Silver said it. We're not changing anything else here anymore. So at this point, I guess we just we tie up our shoelaces, we put on our TVs, and we pray that our G League roster wins these games.
And stay tuned to Twitter because things are changing, I feel, every single second. Nora, I want to end with this. So the NBA trade deadline, we're still, a couple months away from it. But I do want to ask you, what do you think the Raptors will do? Will they be buyers and try to be aggressive? Will they be sellers, or will they do nothing?
If this was 2 years ago, I could write you down a research paper and what I think Bobby and Masai will be doing in the off season. But right now, I feel like they've done so much where it's been kind of head scratching. And I love Masai. I love Bobby. I obviously, if you're a Raptors fan, everything you have, you owe to them. But I think that there's been very big marks that just haven't been filled, especially, with Kyle left. We didn't really get anything back for Kyle. We still have Dragic here, but he's not really playing with the team. I think there was rumors just about a week ago that he was in Miami again. So we don't really sure what's happening with that. So really, if you look at it, you just got Precious back for Kyle, right? So we have to make something come out of that. And then same thing with the center position. You still have Precious to shoot well. You do have Ken Burch, but we do need more length. We do need more depth. We need to have more bench production. So we should be buyers. We should be putting ourselves out there and going aggressively at people that, our roster needs. But I'm not sure which direction the Raptors want to take themselves in right now, whether that's to develop the guys that they have and not put the interest on making the team better, or to do both at the same time.
Yeah, that's a good point. Which direction is this team going to take? Are they going to continue the development of this team and seek it through, or are they going to try to, trade somebody to get a big time player back potentially? But I do agree. I think the biggest need on this team right now is the center position. It hasn't been properly addressed since Marc Gasol and Ibaka did not re-sign, and we've seen how much of an impact and effect it's had on this Raptors team. I think they are a center away from really being a good team in the Eastern Conference. And of course, if they're healthy, which has not been on their side for the last couple of seasons. Ultimately, though, I do think Masai is going to stay pat in this situation. I don't see the Raptors making any moves. I think the only move we could see is what happens with Goran Dragic. But even with that, reportedly, no teams are showing interest in Dragic. So you got a guy in Dragic who's literally away from the team. Nobody wants him. So what do the Raptors do? There's probably going to be a buyout situation that ends up happening there. But in terms of any trades going down, I just don't see it. I think the Raptors will give this team the benefit of the doubt of just seeking it through all season long. Hopefully they can all come back healthy so you can see what you have at once. And then what Masai did last season, he'll reevaluate in the offseason and see if any changes need to be made. So I think this will just be a play them out year. I don't think the Raptors are going to do anything drastic, and they're just going to hopefully get guys back and see if they can potentially get into a playoff spot.
I do want to say, if we end up buying out Dragic, that's going to end up on Masai's hit list. How do you let Kyle Lowry go and then you end up buying out Dragic? Like, you had so many suitors for Kyle, and you got Precious Achiuwa back for him. But it is what it is.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Precious, but the whole Dragic thing, very dissatisfied with it. I was actually a Goran Dragic fan, but never really found his footing here. And yeah, it just keeps getting worse by the day. So hopefully it gets resolved. But yeah, we'll see what happens in this crazy NBA world with COVID rapidly impacting it. So yeah, this is 3 in the Key, guys. Thank you so much for watching. This was a great conversation from myself and Noor. You can follow us all over the place on the Parlay, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, etc. And we will be coming at you again with our NBA picks for tonight's slate of games. Stay tuned for that.